My youngest was 5 the first time I took him to the Big Island. I was in full content creator mode, packed itinerary, activities lined up, back to back, camera ready. And one morning, I was in the hotel room just trying to get him dressed so we could make our first thing of the day. It turned into a full standoff over getting dressed in Hawaii. And I remember stopping in the middle of it and just thinking, we're fighting on vacation in Hawaii because I built a schedule that had absolutely no room for a 5-year-old to be 5. We stayed at the pool that day. He made friends with a family from Nebraska, spent the whole afternoon trading notes on what they'd done on the island and hearing about what their life was like back home. It was not the Big Island experience I had planned, but he was happy, actually happy. And when I mentioned going out later that afternoon, he was immediately in. That pool day is one of the clearest memories I have from the entire trip. I've thought about why a lot since then. Aloha and welcome back to Hawaii Travel Made Easy. I'm Marcie Cheung, and today's episode is about something I come back to in almost every consultation I do. What actually happens when you stop trying to optimize your Hawaii trip and just let it be a trip. You've probably heard the term JOMO, the joy of missing out. It's gotten a lot of traction in travel circles lately, and I want to talk about what it actually looks like for families in Hawaii, because most of the content out there on this topic is pretty vague. I want to make it practical. So let me start with what I watch happen over and over again. Families arrive in Hawaii already tired from traveling. They've invested real money, taken real time off of work, and planned for months. And because there's this idea, and it's persistent, that Hawaii is a once-in-a-lifetime trip, there's enormous pressure to do everything. Pearl Harbor, Haleakala Sunrise, Road to Hana, a luau, snorkeling, Dole Whip, all of it, ideally in 7 days. By day 3, someone is melting down, usually a kid, but sometimes a parent. Everyone is exhausted and nobody's actually experiencing Hawaii. They're just executing a plan. And I want to be clear, this is not a you problem. That's what happens when you plan Hawaii out of fear. Fear that you'll miss something, that you won't get back, that you'll spend all this money and not have enough to show for it. Those are completely understandable fears. They just tend to produce trips that don't feel like what you were hoping for. I push back really hard on the once-in-a-lifetime framing, by the way. I've been to Hawaii more than 40 times. Most of my clients who go once find a way to go back. The islands are not going anywhere, but that fear is what drives the checklist mentality, and the checklist mentality is what kills the trip. JOMO is the antidote, and it's not about being passive or skipping things that genuinely matter to your family. It's about being honest with yourself about why something is on your list in the first place. So here's a question I ask consulting clients when we're going through their plans. Look at each activity and ask yourself, if this got rained out, would I be disappointed or secretly relieved? If the answer is secretly relieved, and a lot of people laugh when they realize it is, that's your answer. You were never actually excited about it. You added it because you were afraid to leave it off. Cut it. It was never going to give you what you were hoping for anyway. The other shift that makes a real practical difference is what I think of as a one main thing rule. Each day has one primary experience, and the rest is unstructured. One day your main thing is snorkeling. Another day it's a hike. You don't stack Pearl Harbor on top of a luau on top of a dinner reservation you made 6 weeks ago. You leave room for the day to actually happen. This sounds obvious, but it runs completely against how most people plan Hawaii, because most people plan Hawaii like they're afraid it's going to disappear. It won't. Now, there's always someone in the group, a spouse, a grandparent, a mother-in-law, who hears this and says, but what if we never come back? Shouldn't we see everything? And my honest answer is you cannot see everything in one trip, and trying to means you won't truly experience anything. A meaningful connection to one part of Hawaii creates the kind of memories that bring people back. That's how once-in-a-lifetime trips turn into a 4th and 5th trip. The families who go back are almost always the ones who are feeling like they've actually been somewhere, not like they'd speed run a highlight reel. Now let me talk through some of this island by island because it looks different depending on where you are. On the Big Island, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is one of the most common places I see families do the drive-through treatment. Half a day, see the crater, move on. And I get why. It's just one item on a long list. But if you can go twice, once to orient yourself and once with actual questions, the experience is completely different. Morning light versus late afternoon at Kilauea are not the same place. The rangers there love families who come back curious. It stops being a photo stop. On Maui, the road to Hana gets treated like something to survive. Do the whole thing in a day, take the photos, done. It's actually one of the most beautiful drives in the world if you're not watching the clock. Splitting it across 2 days, staying in Hana overnight, coming back slowly, it becomes something else entirely. Most people don't even realize that's an option. On Oahu, I'd push back on the assumption that you need to be constantly moving to feel like you're doing it right. Pick a neighborhood and actually get to know it. Kailua is my go-to example here. You could spend 3 full days between the beach, the farmer's market, the pillbox hike at different times of day, and eating at the same spots twice. That's Oahu. And if a luau is on your list while you're there, I did a whole episode ranking the Oahu options, episode 95, because the differences between them matter more than people realize, and the wrong one can feel like a real letdown. And Kauai rewards slowness more than any other island. There is so much that opens up when you're not trying to check every box in 5 days. The west side, Waimea Canyon, Koka'e State Park, is somewhere I see people rush through constantly, and it deserves a full, unhurried day at minimum. I did a deep dive on the west side in episode 98 if you want the specifics on that. I want to come back to my son at that pool in Kona because I think the story is actually a template for something specific. Kids have a completely different relationship to pace than adults do. They are not trying to optimize their Hawaii trip. When something catches their attention, they want to stay there, at the tide pool, at the swimming pool, on the same stretch of beach, and they can go genuinely deep on basically anything if you give them time. When you push against that because you have somewhere to be, you spend your vacation managing emotions instead of having one. When you follow it, even a little, you get the Nebraska family conversation. You get the thing your kid talks about for the next 6 months that has nothing to do with any attraction on your itinerary. The best Hawaii itinerary for a family with young kids is enough margin to say yes when your 5-year-old needs a pool morning. I also think it's worth naming something for the adults in the room. You need margin too. When there's no buffer in your schedule, you can't be spontaneous, you can't linger, you can't follow something unexpected that turns out to be the highlight of your trip. That spontaneity doesn't happen by accident. You have to plan space for it, which I know sounds contradictory, but it's true. If you're in the planning stages right now and something in this episode is making you rethink your itinerary, that's what my consultations are designed for. A 60-minute session is $149 and will work through what your family actually values, where the breathing room needs to go, and how to make the choices without feeling like you're leaving Hawaii on the table. My travel agent partner, Kim at Stuffed Suitcase, handles booking afterwards and waives her planning fee for clients who come through me. So you get the strategy and someone to execute it. You can book that at hawaiitravelwithkids.com under Hawaii Travel Consultant. And if your trip is already locked in and you just want a set of outside eyes on your itinerary, that's a $50 itinerary audit. You submit your plan at hawaiitravelwithkids.com under Hawaii Itinerary Review, and I send it back within 2 business days with specific notes on what I'd cut, what I'd move, and where the day is working against you. That one is genuinely useful when you've been staring at your own plan so long you can't tell anymore what's too much. Here's what I come back to after all the trips I've taken and all the families I've helped plan theirs. The memories that actually stick are almost never the ones that required the most coordination. They're the pool afternoon with the family from Nebraska, the spontaneous stop that turned into an hour, the fish taco place you went back to a second time just because the first time was so good. Hawaii is generous when you give it room. For all my favorite planning resources, car rentals, guides, and everything else I actually use and trust, head to hawaiitravelwithkids.com under the Hawaii Resources tab. Everything's in one place there. I'll be back Wednesday with an interview with my 12-year-old about his experiences in Hawaii. Until then, mahalo for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Aloha.